Have you ever stood by a river, the river of your own life, and felt a disturbance in its flow? Perhaps it was a conversation, a quiet moment with the child you have raised, where their words fell like heavy stones into the water. A sharp ache in your heart, a twisting in your gut, yet you let it pass. For this is your child. Love is the vessel that holds them. You have watched their journey from a small stream into a river of their own. And so, when their current brings forth a harsh or cutting word, it is easy to say, the water is just rough today. They did not mean for the stone to strike so deeply. Perhaps the river of my own heart is too shallow, too sensitive. But what if those words are not merely ripples on the surface? What if they are signs? Signs that the very river bed has shifted, that the natural flow between you has been obstructed, and worse, that its current may be eroding the banks of your own peace. This is not about the natural storms that arise between any two rivers that run side by side. That is the way of life. We all have moments of turmoil. This is about a pattern, a sustained current of words that reveal a source of disharmony, a drought of respect, a forgetting of care. Words that, when they flow again and again, can wear away the stone of your dignity, the soil of your confidence, the quiet stillness of your soul. This sharing is not an invitation to build a dam against your children. It is an invitation to stand in your own strength. It is to recognize when a boundary has been eroded, and to find the stillness to step back from any current, even one from your own lineage, when it no longer carries love and respect. Let me ask you this. Have you ever heard from your son or daughter, their voice filled with the bitterness from seasons past? You were never truly there for me. Even after you have given all the water from your own well, worked until your own streams ran dry, poured your very essence into tending their garden. The cut is deep. It can make you question the very source of your river. But here, I wish to remind you, you are not a perfect, endless ocean, but you gave the water that you had. When another being refuses to see this, refuses to acknowledge the gift, because they are lost in the currents of blame, you must protect your own wellspring. So let us look into these currents, the ones that do not simply cause a ripple, but reveal a deeper imbalance, a blockage in the flow. The first current is one of debt. You owe me. It may not be spoken so plainly. It may hide in the undertones of phrases like, after all I endured because of you, or, my life would not be so hard if you had guided my river better. The energy is the same. You owe them your time, your light, your guilt. It is as if they have placed a lion on your love, waiting for you to pay a debt for a journey you never agreed to underwrite. This is not the flow of love. This is a transaction. You see, love that flows from a child back to a parent has its roots in gratitude. It does not mean they cannot speak of past pains or question the old river maps. But when they demand repayment for the way their life has unfolded, when they use your role as a source to leverage a debt, the flow becomes toxic. You do not owe your adult children the forest you saved for your own quiet winter. You do not owe them the waters of your emotional well every day, especially when they are drawn without gratitude or care. If a grown child uses guilt to divert your flow, that is not family. That is a bartering of the soul. The second shadow that falls upon the water is this. You are just old. You cannot understand. This one chills in a different way, does it not? It is not a crashing wave, but a silent frost. It is dismissal. It makes you feel invisible, as if your wisdom, the stories etched into your very being, and all that you have gathered in your long journey now mean nothing. You may have witnessed mountains rise and fall, great forests burn and regrow, the turning of stars and seasons, and all of that depth is swept aside with a single word, old. Let me tell you something true. To be old is not to be irrelevant. It is to become the mountain. You have seen what many have not. You have endured what others cannot yet imagine. But when your own child uses your age to silence you or ignore you, they are not seeing with clear eyes. They are seeing only the surface, not the spirit. Do not accept this. You have every right to share the landscape of your heart, your guidance, your care, especially when it flows from love. Age is not a shadow. It is a source of light. And if one you have raised forgets this, it is not your task to convince them. It is your practice to protect your own mountain. Sometimes that means a quiet retreat, a physical or energetic space, until they remember the ground from which they came and the mountains that watched over them. The third disturbance, which should sound an alarm in your spirit, is this: if you do not help me, I will find my own way. At first, this might sound like a flowing river, independent, even strong. But listen to the current beneath the words. Is it spoken with centeredness, or is it a threat? Is it a declaration of self-reliance, or an ultimatum to force your river to flow in their direction? Too often, adult children use this energy to manipulate. They create a false choice: give me what I want, or I will dam the river between us. As a parent, that is a deep fear. The fear of disconnection, of being left on a dry riverbed, can lead you to give again and again. But such a connection is not built on love. It is built on fear, and love, true love, is never a threat. True love says, I would be grateful for your flow to join mine. Not, give me your water, or I will leave. If your child's presence is felt only when they need a current from you, if their warmth depends on what you provide, then what you have is not a relationship. It is a marketplace, and you are worth more. You have spent seasons carving your landscape, creating your home, filling your pools with memories. This season of life is for peace. It is for joy, stillness, purpose, and genuine connection, not for demands, pressures, or walking on fragile ice. I know this is not simple. To draw back, even energetically, from a life you helped create, from a heart you love, goes against the deepest instincts of a parent's soul. But sometimes, love means saying, enough. Sometimes, protecting your own sacred ground is the most loving practice, because it teaches the other how to honor it. It establishes a boundary that says, I will not be eroded in this way. You are not abandoning them by defining your banks. You are reminding them that respect is a river that must flow both ways, that your value does not diminish with time, that your love is a gift, not a debt. And I promise you, the moment you reclaim your own sacred ground, the moment you stop absorbing disrespect, because it comes from your own lineage, you will feel lighter. You will feel a stillness, a new strength. Now, let us continue our journey, for there are more currents to understand. Each reveals a profound truth about how we are seen and how we deserve to be seen. When someone you love begins to treat you as an afterthought, when their words carry more weight than care, it is not just a sorrow, it is an emptying. And if that someone is your own child, it is a heartbreak that few speak of. Let us walk further, because what we uncover here could save you seasons of pain and inner turmoil. The next shadow on the path is this one: I am this way because of you. I know that the path of parenting has many unmarked trails and wrong turns. Every parent, no matter how full their heart, has moments they wish they could walk again. That is the nature of being human. But when an adult child consistently places the weight of who they are upon your shoulders, without ever taking responsibility for the direction they have chosen to walk, it becomes a cycle of blame. And that is a heavy stone no parent is meant to carry forever. You may hear it in moments of discord, or when their own path becomes rocky. They might say, if you had been a stronger mountain, I would not have this wind. Or, if you had given me a different map, my life would be easier now. And again, because you are their source, the words strike deep. You begin to question every step you took, every boundary you set, every offering you thought was from the heart. But here is the truth. To plant a seed does not mean you take lifelong blame for the shape the tree grows into. They have their own sky, their own sun, their own storms. They have made choices as grown beings, and those choices have their own roots. Blaming you for their shadowed branches may offer them temporary relief, but it prevents their own roots from growing deeper. It keeps them stuck, and it keeps you trapped in a space of shame. You did not raise a perfect tree, just as you were not a perfect gardener. But if you tended the soil with love, gave your best water, and showed up even when the weather was harsh, You have done your work. The rest, that is their journey. Do not let them tie their journey around your neck like a heavy chain. And if they continue to do so, despite your offerings of support to move forward, if they cannot have a single conversation without pulling you back into the old, overgrown paths, then it may be time to step back, not because you do not care, but because you care too much to continue being wounded by their thorns. Now, the next phrase might come in the heat of a storm or in a moment of chilling calm. It is this one: you never truly loved me. If you have ever heard your child speak this to you, I invite you to stop and take a breath right now. Because I know that cuts to the core. That one sentence feels like someone has uprooted every tree you ever planted, every meal offered, every sleepless night you watched over their rest, and declared the entire garden barren. But let us see this clearly. That phrase is not just hurtful, it is an act of erasure. Love is not always a perfect blossom, and sometimes it does not appear as others imagine it should. Perhaps you were a steady mountain, not a babbling brook. Perhaps your love was in your constancy, not your caress. But you gave from your source, and love is not measured in grand storms. It is measured in the quiet, daily sunrise, in showing up, in staying, in making the hard choices, even when they were not understood. For someone to erase all of that with a single phrase is not merely unfair. It is a form of spiritual attack. It is often used to win a battle, to make you feel so barren that you give in, apologize, or beg for forgiveness for seasons that were never without sun. You cannot spend your autumn years defending your love to someone who has chosen to forget the sunrises. If they are willing to weaponize your heart against you, that is not a child seeking to heal a wound. It is someone seeking control, and sometimes the most profound act of love is to let go. You do not have to keep proving your own existence to someone who has decided you are a ghost. Real love does not need convincing. It can see the garden even when some leaves have fallen. If your child truly loved you, they would not try to pull your heart from your chest with their words. They would not want to be the source of your tears. They would not want to be the reason for your pain. Which brings us to another current that reveals more than it appears to. You are just being dramatic. This one may not sound as sharp at first. It might be said with a laugh. But make no mistake, it is a form of dismissal. It is a way to quiet your river, to invalidate your flow, to make you feel as if you are overreacting every time you speak from your depths. And let us be honest, how many times have you been told to be quiet, to be stronger, to not make waves? Especially as the seasons of your life have turned, perhaps you have noticed your currents do not seem to carry the same force to others. People interrupt more. They speak over you. They nod, but they are not truly listening. So when your own child brushes off your heart's true expression with a casual, "You're just being dramatic," it reinforces a painful story, that your feelings are not valid, that your landscape is outdated, that your voice no longer belongs in the choir. But I tell you now, your voice matters more than ever. You have lived, you have learned, you have endured, you have loved. And your perspective is not dramatic, it is deep, it is rich with the soil of experience. When someone, especially one you have raised, tries to make you feel small for expressing your truth, that is not just disrespect, it is silencing, and you do not have to accept that. You deserve to be heard. You deserve to speak without fear of being mocked. If the ones closest to you cannot give you that sacred space, you are absolutely within your rights to create that space for yourself, to step away, to draw that boundary, to say, "No, I will not be dismissed." Because this chapter of your life is not about pleasing those who do not see your value. It is about standing tall in the mountain of who you are. It is about rediscovering peace, dignity, and joy. It is about living fully without being pulled down by the weight of another's unripened soul. So as we continue to name these currents, I invite you to remember that every one of these is not just about words. They are about patterns. Patterns of disrespect, control, and manipulation. The moment you begin to see them for what they are, you begin to call your energy back to yourself. This is not about turning your back on your lineage. It is about turning your face toward your own heart, toward the self-respect, the peace, and the clarity you deserve. You are not too old to define your banks. You are not too old to begin anew. You are not too old to say, enough. And if any part of your heart is aching as you hear these words, if you are remembering a conversation, or a look, or a moment that made you feel small, know this, you are not alone. So many parents carry this quiet sorrow, but today you have given yourself permission to name it. And soon, we will speak of the final phrases that matter most, because they reveal the deepest truths about where you stand and how to walk forward with strength. Let us continue. The next phrase we must look at may seem innocent, but beneath it runs a current that can quietly erode your sense of place. It is this: I did not ask for your opinion. Of course, every being has the right to choose which path they follow. Your grown children are free to make their own choices, even ones that lead to rocky ground. That is the way of growth. You know this, you have accepted this. But when your child snaps back with a sharp, I did not ask, or worse, no one needs your opinion, it cuts deeper than they may know. Because what they are truly saying in that moment is that your wisdom is no longer welcome. That your voice is an intrusion. That the years you spent gathering experience, learning from falls, navigating this world, that it all counts for nothing now, simply because the calendar has turned a new page. It is a hard truth to face, especially when your only intent was to offer a light for their path, not because you believe you know better, not to control their journey, but out of love, out of care. When that offering is met with a cold wall, when they act as if your insight is a burden rather than a gift, it creates a divide. A divide that does not just separate, but isolates. If your child constantly silences you, brushes aside your thoughts, or makes you feel that your place in their life depends on how quiet you remain or how much you agree with them, that is not mutual respect, that is control. And no parent, no matter how many seasons they have seen, deserves to be pushed to the edges of their own family. You are allowed to have thoughts. You are allowed to speak them. And even if they do not follow your map, they should be able to hear it without contempt. A respectful adult child does not have to agree with you, but they should always honor your place in the landscape of their life. If they do not, you must ask yourself, am I trying to water a garden that no longer wishes to receive from my stream? Now, we have saved perhaps the most painful phrase for last, and I wish to speak of this with great care. It is the moment your child says, you are the one who needs help, not me. There is a context where this may be spoken from a place of love. Perhaps you are struggling, and they see it, and they wish to offer support. That is one energy, but too often, this phrase is not used out of love. It is used as a deflection, a way to avoid their own shadow by shining a harsh light back on you. Imagine you are trying to address a pattern, the way they speak to you, how they show up in your life, or do not. And instead of hearing you, they say, you are the one who is unstable. You are the one who needs help. You are overreacting again. That is not care. That is making the ground beneath your feet feel like mist. It is a dangerous magic, because the moment you start to question your own ground, your own feelings, your own memory, you become vulnerable. You become easier to guide, to shape, to control. You start to shrink, to doubt, to apologize for things you never did wrong. That is exactly how the flow of another's energy can imprison yours. So, let me remind you of something essential. To need support is human. We are all rivers flowing into the same great ocean. But to be told you need help as a way to silence you, to shame you, or to shift blame, that is not support. That is an attack. And when it comes from your own child, it is more wounding, because they know exactly where your soft earth lies. If a conversation leaves you feeling as though you are losing your grip on what is real, that you are always the problem, that nothing you feel is valid unless it matches their story, you have every right to step back. You are not required to keep your heart open to someone who uses your love as a weapon against you. Now, if you are still with me, still listening, still feeling a quiet resonance in your heart, I want to tell you something you may have been waiting a long time to hear. You deserve respect, not tolerance, not polite emptiness. You deserve true respect, the kind that sees your heart, your effort, your journey, the kind that listens when you speak, the kind that honors the truth that you are the reason your child's river even began to flow. I know some of this has been hard to witness. Perhaps it has stirred old wounds or fresh ones. Perhaps you have been holding back tears or memories that you do not speak of. That is all right, because to acknowledge these things is not an act of bitterness. It is an act of courage. It means you are finally ready to stop carrying the silent weight. It means you are ready to put yourself first, not because you have stopped loving your children, but because you have started loving yourself again. So, where do you walk from here? You begin by honoring your own inner landscape. You stop pushing stones under the rug just to keep the path smooth for others. You give yourself permission to define your sacred space. Perhaps that means fewer calls that drain your well. Perhaps it means saying no to demands that come without gratitude. Maybe it means one final conversation that begins with, "I will no longer be spoken to in a way that dishonors my spirit." And perhaps, in time, they will see. Maybe their own river will clear, and they will see the mountain that has always been there for them. But even if they do not, you will have chosen dignity over damage. You will have chosen peace over the need to be pleased. And that, my friend, is one of the most powerful practices in this season of your life. You have earned your stillness. You have earned your voice. You deserve to spend your years surrounded by those who see your light, not those who question it. If this message has touched a place within you, if it has helped you see your own river a little more clearly, please take a moment to share a thought in the space below. You never know who else is reading, feeling the same current. And if you found this helpful, share this light with others and subscribe for more. We are here to support you with honest, deep sharings that help you stand tall, live well, and love yourself more each day. Here is to protecting your peace, honoring your mountain, and walking forward in strength. Because you are not alone, and you are not powerless. You are a being of experience, of resilience, of deep love, and you deserve a life that reflects that. Here's to living your truest life at any age. I will see you on the path. Stay strong.